Panerai, this game is choosing to be random, so we do not know at the moment what race he'll be playing on this map, but Kiom should be able to find out, as this is only a two-player map. He knows exactly where to scout, unlike Lost Temple, Metalopolis, or Shakuras Plateau, where maybe a little while until he even finds out what his opponent's race is. He should easily be able to find out here. As you do see, Panerai is spawning as Protoss, so Kiom does not know that at the moment, but Panerai does know he is facing a Terran player. And we'll have to see what sort of opening Kiom tries to do this game, whether he's going to do a blind 2-racks, like he did consistently against the Zerg player Jello Gelatin, or if he's going to do something more typical, so that depending, no matter what race the opponent is, he will be able to transition out of it fair and safely. Perhaps we'll see Kiom scout early to make sure he finds out the race of Panerai and defeat him. Panerai is setting down the typical pylon, and we do have the typical supply depot being built for Kiom. Just taking a quick look at the actions per minute just to see the I mean, it's not necessarily a great measure of skill level, but you can get a little something from knowing how fast people are moving their hands during the game. And now we do have an early scout from Kiom. Like I said, we might potentially see, because he does really need to find out what race he is playing against so that he can adjust his build accordingly. And we do the gateway coming down and the scout from Panerai going out to find Kiom. I hope we do not see cheese this game. I don't mind cheese, but it's really nicer if we get some good epic macro games. Can you change that back? Now Kiom is scouting out Panerai. He does see that's Protoss. He sees the very, very normal gateway simulator build, nothing like a fast forge, or doesn't look like he's trying to do any sort of 2-gateway zealot rush. And we do see Panerai also seeing the normal barracks at his ramp and trying to do a little bit of harass, but deciding he'd rather just move out and scout. And he does see the orbital command being morphed in. Gateway is done, and of course he's going to go out and build the typical cybernetic score while still mining gas so he can get the warp gate research as soon as that is done. And Panerai also decided to take the Zelnaga Cavern, Zelnaga Tower rather, in Zelnaga Caverns. As we now see this barracks move back away from the ramp, because he knows he's not fighting a Protoss, a Zerg player anymore rather, and he is playing a Protoss. He does not want to necessarily wall his ramp off like he may against a Zerg player, because stalkers and the like can shoot from the bottom up, and it's not necessarily a bad idea to wall off your ramp against Protoss, but it's also not necessary like it almost is against Zerg. And Kiom is going for a reactor. Hold on one second, we are seeing a little message. Yo, are you getting a message from one of the players, huh? Yeah, this guy is also once again asking something that I've been mentioning quite a while. New maps came out yesterday, in particular one called Shatter Temple, which is just a modified version of Lost Temple. And because the tournament was in the works for quite a while, and the maps just came out yesterday, we did not change it from Lost Temple rather to Shadow Temple. So I don't know, that could be a small issue for some players. People do, from what I could tell, generally like Shadow Temple better. So unfortunately, we do not have Shadow Temple in the map pool. Next time, though, definitely we will use a new maps for Tankcast number 3. Now, this is very, very strange. We see him going for a fast robotics facility. This was not scouted out yet from Kiom, but he's getting observer fast so he can go and scout the opponent, who looks like he's getting a fast tech lab on his starport. Maybe he's even going for a fast Banshee, which would be really funny because we do have a fast robo facility for detection if that is the case. And what do we see? We actually see a fast Raven coming from Kiom. So this fast Raven play is something that is, it can work rather well because Raven has some really, really useful abilities such as the point defense drone, which can easily completely remove some stalkers from the fight for just a couple of seconds, as all their attacks will be soaked up. And it also allows the the Terran player to be safe from any sort of Dark Templars and even deny scouting of observers, such as this one coming in right here. And we do see both players securing their expansion. Panerai is already getting his expansion, just about to be finished, while Kiom is now building his own. And Panerai does see this, but the Raven is out, and the Marines should be able to take down the Observer. That is something that is really important. That's why it's great to have a Raven to be able to deny scouting from those cloaked, invisible observers that the Protoss player can get. And I'm going to guess he should be making another Observer, though it looks like he is just going to be saving up. Oh, no, there we go. He's getting the second Observer. And we'll be getting a Colossus as soon as the robotics bay finishes. We do see that Kiom got a fast Hellion to try and do some harass on the Protoss player, Panerai, but the Immortals and Zealots and Stalkers will definitely get rid of that. And now he is about to get his expansion up and running, but if you look at the income tab, you can definitely see that Panerai has a rather convincing income lead because he has more harvesters and his command center, or Nexus rather, is already up and running. And now we do see that Banshee that I was talking about earlier coming out from this Tech Lab starport, although there is no cloaking. But Banshees can still be great for harass, and even in an army, because they do actually absurd damage to ground. Although they are fragile and pretty easy to kill, especially if there's a good amount of Stalkers or any Phoenixes at all. But we do not see Phoenixes this game. We're seeing instead Colossi coming out. No extended thermal lance at the moment, because he doesn't really have the gas he needs from his expansion. But we do see this Banshee now coming in the back. It doesn't have cloaking field, but it can do some damage. Panerai can't deal with it, but it does look like Panerai should be okay, as there are a couple Stalkers here, more than enough to deal with this Banshee, and he sees it very quickly and is going to come in the back. Panerai will be able to keep this Banshee from doing any damage to his main right now, and Kiom may try and move over to the natural, but there are some sentries here which should be enough to at least buy time for the Stalkers to come over, if not enough to take out the Banshee itself. But we do see that Kiom has transitioned to a siege tank heavy build, and he is now researching siege tech, so he should be able to bombard the Protoss lines of mainly Zealots if these Colossi cannot do enough damage to the rest of the Marines that Kiom has. And if you continue to look at the income tab, if not for the mules, Panerai does have a rather convincing lead in terms of income. And now he's walling off his back, which is very good because Hellions can be annoying if they come in the back, especially with the Blue Flames upgrade, and they can just decimate a probe line in a matter of seconds. Now here is that Banshee coming back in, trying to do some damage, but there's two sentries in here are going to make it go away. However, Banshee does get does not have extra damage to it, but it is taking a lot of damage from the sentries, and with two more Stalkers warping in, like I said, it's enough to buy time for Stalkers to get into the area and null and void that Banshee. And if this Banshee takes a couple hits from these Stalkers, it could actually be taken out. It is taking a hit right there, and there goes that Banshee. It managed to kill a single Stalker, but a single sentry, but it's really not worth its cost. Now Panerai is he just finished the extended thermal lance upgrade for his Colossus to extend the range to 9, which is really useful when dealing with the Marines, especially if they get stuck up on the gateway units such as the Zealots and the Stalkers up front. Now let's see what kind of tech Panerai knows he's going up against. He probably knows he's going up against Siege Tank, knows that, of course, Kiom has his natural expansion, and has to expect that Kiom has some Vikings as well, because, Vikings are just the natural counter to Colossi. And now we do have a Twilight Council and a Forge coming up. Forge pretty important because upgrades, attack upgrade, which is what I would assume, are very, very powerful when it comes to Colossi, because they do double attacks, and they just get great benefit from attack upgrades. With their area of effect damage, it's really useful to have great attack upgrades for your Colossi, and as well as a Twilight Council to get Stalker Blink, because then Stalkers will be able to blink under any Vikings, try and take out the Colossi, and then take them out, and then allow the Colossi to deal the damage to the Terran Marine Marauder composition. However, these siege tanks could be a problem because they do quite a bit of damage to the Stalkers. We do see that Panerai is getting his third base over here, not at the gold, but rather behind the Destructible Rocks at the third base. The scan going down, so Kiom knows exactly what is happening. If you look at the army counter, we see that the units are rather similar. Look at all the point defense drones going down. That's what I was talking about earlier. It makes it very hard for the Stalkers to do the damage they need to do against the Vikings. And the Vikings took out almost all of the Colossi. And this final Colossi will be taken out, it looks like, by the Vikings. The Vikings are trying to land to finish off the Stalkers, but they will be unable to do so. But, I don't know, take a look at the units lost. It does look like Panerai lost a lot, because look at these siege tanks sitting back here, all safe, able to take down a lot of the Stalkers and a lot of the Zealots as well. And now the Stalkers are just committing suicide right into the siege tank line. They probably didn't realize how many siege tanks there were. And Panerai is doing an interesting thing, which is transitioning into more Immortals, which definitely makes sense, because Immortals are very, very good against siege tanks because of their hardened shield ability. And again, losing a couple Stalkers to those siege tanks. And so, as you saw in that battle, those point defense drones, he was able to get so many of them because he got his Raven very, very early in the game and stocked up 200 energy. And so that's really a plus when it comes to the early Raven. Now his third base is up, but it's not mining from it, so it's not really getting any support, and Kiom does not know it's there. Oh, those siege tanks are really doing a lot of damage, as you can see. All the shields have been pretty much depleted from these Stalkers, and the Colossi was taken down by the Vikings. So if you look at the army count, it is really not looking good for Panerai, and 3 photon cannons are not coming down, but the Immortals and the Stalkers are trying to come in, and they keep on getting destroyed by these siege tanks. Panerai really cannot move out from his base because he's too in danger of getting hit by those siege tanks. And there are so many Marauders, if they could just take down this Nexus, it would surely be GG from Panerai, who would be unable to do anything, because it would simply not have the mining needed to support a big enough army to destroy Kiom. And there goes the Immortals soaking up a lot of damage, but eventually being completely destroyed by the siege tanks and the Marauders. And there goes the entire army of Panerai, and there's the GG.